screams of the Forsaken. The storm had come without warning, its fury descending upon the small town of Withering Hollow like the wrath of an angry god. The Cooper family, seeking shelter from the relentless rain and howling winds, stumbled upon the abandoned hospital of horror. The ominous building loomed before them, its decaying facade offering the promise of sanctuary from the tempest outside. With no other options, the desperate family, consisting of Father Greg, Mother Susan, teenage daughter Lily, and young son Tommy, reluctantly entered the hospital, the heavy doors creaking ominously behind them. The air inside was stale and oppressive, as if the building itself had been holding its breath for decades, waiting for the moment when it could finally exhale its secrets. As the Coopers made their way through the labyrinthine corridors, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. The hospital seemed to be alive with the anguished screams of the Forsaken souls that had been trapped within its crumbling walls. Shadows danced in the flickering light of their flashlights, and the air was thick with the echoes of pain and despair. But the family found themselves drawn deeper into the hospital, each step taking them further from the safety of the outside world. As they navigated the haunted corridors, they were tormented by the screams of the Forsaken, the voices of the damned reaching out to them from the darkness, begging for release. With their lives on the line, the Coopers knew that they had to uncover the horrifying truth that lay at the heart of the hospital's twisted history. They began to search the decaying building, hoping to find some clue that would help them understand the source of the screams and unlock the secrets of the Forsaken souls. Their search led them to the hospital's abandoned psychiatric wing, a place where unspeakable atrocities had been committed in the name of science and progress. As they ventured further into the darkness, they discovered a hidden room, its walls lined with the remnants of long-forgotten medical experiments. It was there, amid the rusted instruments and rotting fires, that they uncovered the truth. The hospital had once been the site of a series of inhumane experiments conducted on unwilling patients in a twisted quest for knowledge. The victims of these experiments had been left to suffer, their anguished screams echoing through the halls even after their deaths. Horrified by the revelations, the Coopers realized that they had to find a way to free the Forsaken souls and put an end to their torment. They began to piece together the fragments of the hospital's dark past, searching for a way to sever the ties that bound the spirits to the cursed building. As the storm outside raged on, the family worked tirelessly, fueled by a determination to right the wrongs of the past and restore peace to the abandoned hospital of horror. With each passing hour, the screams of the Forsaken grew louder and more desperate, as if sensing that their salvation was within reach. Finally, in the darkest hour of the night, the Coopers discovered the key to breaking the curse, an ancient ritual that would release the spirits from their torment and allow them to find peace. As they performed the ritual, the hospital seemed to shudder with the force of the souls being set free, their screams gradually fading into silence. Exhausted but triumphant, the Coopers emerged from the hospital as the storm abated, the first rays of sunlight breaking through the dark clouds above. They had faced the horrors of the abandoned hospital of horror and survived. Forever changed by their harrowing experience, the family left Withering Hollow behind, carrying with them the knowledge of the atrocities that had been committed within the hospital's walls. They vowed to share the truth about the abandoned hospital of horror, ensuring that the memories of the Forsaken souls would not be forgotten. They hoped that by sharing their story, they could help to prevent such horrors from ever occurring again. As the years passed, the story of the Cooper family's terrifying ordeal became well known, transforming the once forgotten hospital into a chilling reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty. The once dreaded building now stood as a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of love and determination in the face of unspeakable evil. Greg and Susan dedicated their lives to advocating for the rights of those who had been forgotten or marginalized by society, using their own experiences to help create a world where such horrors could never happen again. Lily, deeply affected by the tormented souls she had encountered in the hospital, pursued a career in psychology, hoping to heal the wounds left by the traumas of the past. Tommy, still haunted by the screams of the Forsaken, became an investigative journalist, committed to shining a light on the darkest corners of humanity and exposing the truth. No matter the cost, the abandoned hospital of horror continued to loom over Withering Hollow, its dark legacy never to be forgotten. But the story of the Cooper family and their fight to free the forsaken souls had transformed the hospital from a place of terror to one of redemption. As the years turned to decades, the hospital crumbled further, eventually succumbing to the ravages of time and nature. The screams of the forsaken were silenced, their pain and suffering finally brought to an end. And though the hospital would eventually fade from the landscape, the memories of the souls it had once imprisoned would live on, a stark reminder of the past and a call to action for a better, more compassionate future. The Doctor's Lament. Dr. Nathaniel Blackwood had once been a respected physician, a man of science and reason, but that was before the abandoned hospital of horror and the unspeakable atrocities that had been committed within its decaying walls. Now was a broken man, hunted by the ghosts of his past, and the terrible burden of guilt that weighed upon his soul. Unable to find peace in the years that followed the hospital's closure, Dr. Blackwood decided to return to the forsaken building. A desperate attempt to find redemption, he believed that by confronting the demons of his past, he could somehow atone for the horrors he had helped to perpetrate. As he crossed the threshold of the hospital, the air seemed to grow colder, the shadows deepening around him. The building seemed to recognize his presence, its decaying halls echoing with the whispered memories of the terrible deeds that had once been carried out within them. Dr. Blackwood wandered through the hospital, the ghosts of his past lurking in every corner. He saw the faces of the patients he had failed, their anguished cries still echoing through the halls. He felt the weight of the secrets he had helped to keep, the lies and the deceptions that had allowed the horrors to continue. As he ventured deeper into the building, he began to sense a dark presence growing stronger, a malevolent force that seemed to feed on his guilt and despair. He realized that he had become entangled in a supernatural battle, one that would determine the fate of his soul and the future of the cursed hospital. Determined to break the cycle of pain and suffering, Dr. Blackwood sought out the source of the malevolent force, the heart of the darkness that had consumed the hospital. He discovered an ancient chamber, hidden beneath the hospital's foundations, where the vilest experiments had been conducted. The air was thick with the stench of death and despair, the walls pulsing with a malevolent energy that threatened to overwhelm him. In the center of the chamber stood an altar, its surface stained with the blood of countless victims. Dr. Blackwood knew that this was the source of the darkness, the nexus of the supernatural forces that had cursed the hospital and damned his soul. Summoning the last of his strength, Dr. Blackwood confronted the demons of his past, the memories of the atrocities he had helped to perpetrate. He acknowledged his guilt and vowed to make amends, to dedicate his life to righting the wrongs he had committed, and to bring justice to those who had suffered. As he spoke these words, a great battle began within the chamber. The darkness that had consumed the hospital fought back, seeking to claim Dr. Blackwood's soul and continue its reign of terror. But the doctor's newfound resolve and determination fueled his resistance, and he fought the darkness with every ounce of his being. The battle raged on, the very walls of the hospital trembling as the forces of light and darkness clashed. And in the end, it was Dr. Blackwood's redemption that proved to be the deciding factor. As he made his final stand, he unleashed a torrent of light, an energy that shattered the darkness and banished the malevolent force from the hospital. Exhausted and battered, Dr. Blackwood emerged from the chamber, his soul cleansed and his conscience unburdened. He knew that he could never erase the horrors of his past, but he had fought for and won the chance to make amends, to heal the wounds left by the abandoned hospital of horror. In the years that followed, Dr. Blackwood dedicated his life to helping others, using his skills and knowledge to bring healing and hope to those in need. The cursed hospital, now free from the darkness that had once consumed it, stood as a testament to the power of redemption and the indomitable human spirit. As word of Dr. Blackwood's heroic actions spread, the once abandoned hospital began to attract new life. Volunteers and philanthropists came together to restore the building and transform it into a center for healing and hope, a place where the mistakes of the past could be acknowledged and overcome. With each passing year, the hospital shed the shadows of its dark history, blossoming into a beacon of light for the community it served. The spirits that had once haunted its halls found peace, their suffering eased by the knowledge that their tormentor had sought and found redemption. Dr. Blackwood continued to work tirelessly, his once tarnished reputation now a symbol of hope and renewal. He dedicated his remaining years to teaching a new generation of medical professionals, instilling in them the importance of compassion and as the years turned to decades, the memory of the abandoned hospital of horror began to fade, replaced by the story of Dr. Nathaniel Blackwood and his journey from darkness into light. The hospital, once a symbol of terror and despair, now stood as a monument to the power of redemption and the ability of the human spirit to triumph over even the darkest of horrors. And though the scars of the past would never fully heal, the legacy of Dr. Blackwood and his quest for redemption served as a constant reminder of the potential for good that exists within each of us, as even in the face of unspeakable evil. The echoes of madness. The abandoned hospital of horror had been a blight on the landscape of Ashwood for decades, its decaying walls bearing witness to unspeakable suffering and torment. For years, the townspeople had avoided the hospital, speaking of it only in hushed whispers and sharing chilling stories of ghostly figures seen lurking in its windows. But when a renowned team of paranormal investigators, led by the charismatic Dr. Amelia Holloway, arrived in Ashwood, the hospital of horror once again found itself at the center of attention, driven by her insatiable curiosity and desire to expose the truth. Amelia assembled her team of seasoned investigators: Mark, the tech expert; Clara, the empath; and Jacob, the skeptic. As they entered the hospital, the air seemed to hum with an energy that sent shivers down their spines. The shadows within the building seemed to stretch and twist as if in anticipation of the team's arrival. But it was the echoes of madness that would prove to be the most unsettling of all. As they explored the labyrinthine corridors, the investigators began to hear the sounds of the hospital's dark past. Faint cries of agony, chilling laughter, and frantic whispers seemed to echo through the very walls, growing more intense as they delved deeper into the building. As the team set up their equipment in the hospital's abandoned psychiatric ward, they could feel the heavy weight of the past pressing down upon them. The air was thick with sorrow, anger, and fear, as if the tormented souls who had once walked the halls still lingered, unable to find peace. As night fell, the echoes of madness grew louder, taking on an almost physical presence in the darkness. Clara, the empath, felt herself bombarded with the emotions of the lost souls, their pain and insanity threatening to consume her. Mark's equipment went haywire, capturing unexplainable phenomena and chilling that seemed to defy all logic. But it was Jake, the skeptic, who found himself most affected by the hospital's sinister atmosphere. As he wandered the halls, he began to see glimpses of the past, dark visions that threatened to unravel the very fabric of his sanity. The more he saw, the more he began to question his own grip on reality, as the echoes of madness took root in his mind. As the investigation continued, the team found themselves drawn into a web of insanity that threatened to consume them all. The spirits of the hospital seemed to feed on their fear and doubt, growing stronger with each passing moment. Desperate to save her team and uncover the truth behind the chilling stories surrounding the hospital, Amelia turned to the building's dark history. She discovered that the echoes of madness were born from a terrible secret, a long-forgotten tragedy that had left the souls of the hospital's patients trapped in an endless loop of suffering. With time running out and the forces of darkness closing in, the team had to face their own fears and confront the horrifying truth that lay at the heart of the abandoned hospital of horror. Only by acknowledging and understanding the tragic past could they hope to break the cycle of insanity and free the tormented spirits that haunted the hospital's halls. As dawn broke and the echoes of madness faded into silence, the team emerged from the hospital forever changed by their harrowing experience. The abandoned hospital of horror had revealed its darkest secrets, but at a price the investigators would never forget. For within the hospital's decaying walls, they had not only confronted the echoes of madness, but also the darkness that lurked within their own souls. The unseen ward. In the heart of the sprawling, decaying, abandoned hospital of horror, there was a place that even the most intrepid urban explorers feared to tread. It was a ward that had never been seen by human eyes, sealed off from the rest of the hospital by massive iron doors that bore the marks of time and decay. The rumors of the unseen ward spread far and wide, drawing a group of thrill-seeking explorers to the hospital's crumbling walls. There was the fearless leader, Evan, his best friend and right-hand man, Tim, the confident and daring Leah, and the cautious yet brave Rachel. Together they formed a tight-knit group, bound by their love of adventure and the unknown. Upon entering the hospital, they were immediately struck by the oppressive atmosphere that hung heavy in the air. The shadows seemed to swallow the weak beams of their flashlights, and an unsettling silence pervaded the vast, empty halls. Undeterred, the group pressed on, navigating the labyrinthine corridors and descending ever deeper into the bowels of the hospital. It was there, in the darkest depths, that they stumbled upon the unseen ward. The massive iron doors loomed before them, an imposing barrier that seemed to defy their very presence. But Evan, driven by an insatiable curiosity, was determined to uncover the secrets that lay within. With great effort, the group managed to pry open the doors, the rusted hinges screeching in protest as they revealed the hidden ward. As they stepped across the threshold, an overwhelming sense of unease washed over them. They had unknowingly unleashed an ancient evil, a malevolent force that had been trapped within the unseen ward for centuries. The darkness seemed to come alive, enveloping the explorers. In its suffocating embrace, shadowy figures emerged from the corners of their vision, their whispers echoing through the stale air like the remnants of forgotten nightmares. As the group ventured deeper into the ward, they found themselves confronted by their deepest fears, each one more terrifying than the last. Evan, who had always been fearless, was tormented by visions of his loved ones suffering at the hands of the darkness. Tim, who had always relied on his strength, found himself paralyzed by an overwhelming sense of helplessness. Leah had always been daring, was forced to face the consequences of her reckless actions, and Rachel, who had always been cautious, was confronted by the realization that she could not protect her friends from the evil that surrounded them. As the malevolent force threatened to consume them, the group knew they had to find a way to banish the darkness before it was too late. They searched the unseen ward, desperately seeking clues that might reveal the key to their salvation. In their darkest hour, they discovered a hidden chamber, its walls adorned with ancient runes and symbols that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. It was there that they found the answer they sought, a ritual that would banish the ancient evil and restore the balance between light and darkness. With time running out, the group worked together to perform the ritual, each one drawing on their strengths and facing their fears to overcome the malevolent force. As they chanted the words, the shadows began to recede, the whispers fading into the darkness from which they had emerged. As the last of the darkness was banished, the unseen ward was once again sealed away, its iron doors closing with a resounding clang that echoed through the empty halls of the abandoned hospital of horror. The group emerged from the hospital, forever changed by their harrow ordeal. They had faced their deepest fears and conquered the darkness, but the memory of the unseen ward would haunt them for the rest of their lives. As they stood outside the hospital, taking in the first light of dawn, they realized that their bonds had been forged in the fires of adversity, and they had emerged stronger for it. In the days that followed, the group couldn't shake the eerie memories of the unseen ward, the vivid images of their darkest fears still lingering in their minds. They found solace in one another, sharing their experiences and offering support as they sought to come to terms with the horrors they had faced. As the years passed, the memory of the unseen ward began to fade, becoming little more than a whispered tale among the townspeople. But for Evan, Tim, Leah, and Rachel, it remained a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beneath the surface of the ward, and the power of friendship and courage to overcome it. They each went their separate ways, but the experience in the abandoned hospital of horror had left an indelible mark on their souls. Evan became a renowned paranormal investigator, dedicating his life to protecting others from the hidden evils that lurked in the shadows. Tim found solace in helping others, working tirelessly to ensure that no one would ever feel as helpless as he had in the depths of the unseen ward. Leah learned to temper her daring spirit with wisdom, using her fearlessness to inspire others to face their own fears, and Rachel continued to explore the unknown, her bravery and caution guiding her through a lifetime of adventure and discovery. Though the unseen ward remained locked away, a testament to the darkness that had once threatened to consume them, the group never forgot the lessons they had learned within its haunting halls. They carried those lessons with them throughout their lives, a constant reminder of the power of hope, friendship, and courage in the face of unimaginable fear. And so, the story of the unseen ward lived on, its echoes reverberating through the hearts and minds of those who had dared to confront the darkness and emerge victorious. For it was in the shadows of the abandoned hospital of horror that they had discovered not only the depths of human fear but also the heights of human resilience, a testament to the enduring spirit that lies within us all. Whispers from the shadows. In the desolate town of Darksville, the long-abandoned hospital of horror loomed over the barren landscape like a dark sentinel guarding its secrets. The whispers of its haunted past had become the stuff of local legend, passed down from generation to generation. The stories varied, but one thing remained consistent: the chilling whispers that seemed to emanate from the hospital's depths. Tales of ghostly apparitions and tormented souls, forever trapped within the crumbling walls of the once thriving medical facility. It was said that even the shadows themselves whispered to those brave enough or foolish enough to venture into its haunted halls. It was on a moonlit autumn night that a group of 5 daring teenagers decided to explore the hospital of horror. The friends, emboldened by the thrill of adventure, gathered at the entrance, each one trying to mask their fear with bravado. They were Jack, the ringleader; Lucy, his fearless girlfriend; Tom, the skeptic; Sarah, the quiet one; and Mike, the one who was always up for anything. As they entered the hospital, a cold wind swept through the empty corridors, chilling them to the bone. The shadows seemed to dance on the walls, playing tricks on their minds, but it was the whispers that made their hearts race, faint, barely audible murmurs that seemed to come from nowhere, since everywhere at once. At first they dismissed the whispers as their minds playing tricks on them, but as they ventured deeper into the hospital, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to be calling out to the teenagers, urging them to explore the darkest corners of the once hallowed halls. Driven by a morbid curiosity, they pressed on, stumbling upon a long-forgotten wing of the hospital. The door to the wing was locked, but after a few attempts, Jack managed to force it open. As they stepped inside, the whispers fell silent, replaced by a heavy, oppressive atmosphere that seemed to suffocate them. They found themselves in what appeared to be an old psychiatric ward, the walls lined with empty cells. But it was the final room at the end of the corridor that caught their attention. The door was covered in strange symbols and warnings, and as they approached, the whispers returned, louder and more urgent than before. Despite their growing dread, the teenagers couldn't resist the pull of the mysterious room. They pushed open the door, and as they crossed the threshold, the whispers suddenly ceased. The room was empty save for a single, ancient-looking book that lay open on a dust-covered table. As they gathered around the book, their eyes were drawn to a passage that spoke of a dark ritual, a means to summon the vengeful spirits of the hospital's tormented past. The whispers, they realized, had been the voices of those spirits, guiding them to this very room. Fearful but unable to resist the urge to know more, they followed the instructions in the book, unknowingly unleashing the vengeful spirits upon themselves. One by one, the spirits tormented the teenagers, forcing them to confront their darkest fears and secrets. As the night wore on, the friends found themselves locked in a battle for their lives against the vengeful spirits. They discovered that the only way to banish the spirits and escape the hospital of horror was to confront their own demons and find the strength to forgive themselves and each other. With the first light of dawn, the teenagers stumbled out of the hospital, forever changed by their harrowing ordeal. The whispers from the shadows had revealed their deepest fears, but also the resilience of their hearts. And as they looked back at the hospital of horror one last time, they knew they would carry its haunting whispers with them for the rest of their lives. The experience bonded the friends in ways they could never have imagined. The shared trauma had forced them to confront their own darkness, and in doing so, they had found strength in one another. They vowed to keep the horrors they had witnessed a secret, to ensure that no one else would suffer the same fate. As the years went by, the Hospital of Horror continued to cast its ominous shadow over Darksville, but the teenagers, now grown and scattered across the country, carried with them the haunting memories of that fateful night. The whispers from the shadows had become a part of them, a constant reminder of the darkness that existed both within the hospital and within themselves. For the people of Darksville, the legend of the Hospital of Horror lived on, as did the whispers from the shadows. But for Jack, Lucy, Tom, Sari, and Mike, it was more than just a legend. It was a chilling reminder that the past could never truly be left behind, and that the line between reality and nightmare was often more fragile than they dared to believe. And so, as the shadows lengthened and the whispers grew louder, the survivors of that terrifying night remained forever bound to the Hospital of Horror, a testament to the power of the human spirit and the unrelenting darkness that sought to consume it.